Hi, my name is Anna, and I will be walking you through some of the basics of what you need to know for the 10-pager. So, um, and I'll be breaking down this one I found online from 2024. You can find it on the DECA page. There are a few other examples that you can usually find on DECA Plus, the full examples, and they're usually a lot more helpful. But this is the most recent winner, so it is probably the best example we have. And the first page, you want to consider that your first page is arguably one of the most important, since your judge will probably be spending 5 to 10 minutes grading your 10-pager in total, and that means they have around 1 minute per page maximum. And your executive summary is just throwing in the basics. You want, especially in this part, you want to get down your pitch. And your pitch has to be maximum 3 sentences. And let me break this one down right here. So the first part of it talks about its overarching goal. So its theme to prevent nano and microplastic absorption and consumption. And that talks about the overall problem and the theme of environment and health that they are going to be trying to solve. And then the second sentence is a lot more specific, where it talks about the actual product. So this is where they talk about the technology and databases, and that is the main thing, right? The technology and databases, that is their entire theme. Then you have the third sentence, which is a lot more snappy, and it makes it fun for the reader, so it hooks them in. And what I've seen with all the 10 pagers is that they always have 3 problems and 3 solutions. So limit yourself to that. But when you look at this, you can notice that they talk about statistics, specific statistics. You don't have to quote them, but you do have to mention your sources at the end. Because you don't want to copyright. So only half of the US adults have heard of nanoplastics, right? And these are very short. Again, this all has to fit into one page and has to be a very big summary and solution for every single problem that you find. And you usually want to have a separate doc where you do research, and you want to do a lot of research if you want to do well. Then we have customer segments. As much as it's tempting to throw in a lot of these, it's good to keep it, again, short and sweet. They're reading this in 1 minute, so don't overwhelm them with information. Primary market size. You don't have to include everything in this executive summary, just enough, just your most interesting pieces of information. So things you're most proud of and things you want them to remember the most that stand out, right? Look at the bigger picture as much as you are probably going to be focused in on the details of your startup business plan. Right. So the primary market and the secondary market. Sometimes people even have tertiary markets, but you pretty much want to have a primary and secondary. That's pretty much standard. And you want to show that it's successful and who your competitors are, your channels, right? And this is, especially these places, this is where it's kind of the hardest to be the most creative, because that means you have to do a lot of research on how to stand out. Anyone can do social media, anyone can say word of mouth, but what specific details can you throw in to make your 10-pager stand out in those sections? And then you have unique value proposition. Again, this is important. This is what makes your app stand out. Here, another specific detail: 500 potential nanoplastics and ingredients. And they significantly reduce the risk of consumers developing hormonal imbalances, cancer, neurological disorders. So these are the big problems, right? And these are easy to read because they highlighted them in red. Do not underestimate the power of formatting. Formatting will take pretty much half of the amount of time that you spend on your project, and that is important because it has to be eye-catching, but not too eye-catching, if you know what I mean. Add your personality, add in professionalism, and simplicity, because this is 10 pages of stuff, and the judge will probably be tired from me reading like a million pages of 10 pages of stuff. And the cost structure, well, there's no really good way to actually accurately predict this unless you have some sort of expert. So try to be as much of an expert as you can, but don't go way too much. I've seen pretty much, I think the highest revenue I've seen was $3 million. It doesn't really matter what your revenue is, just that you're successful and it seems realistic, right? So year one, year two, year three, right? Customer acquisition, and this is again research. So in the first year, you probably want to get the most customers, right? And then the distribution of money where you're using it, and this takes a lot of planning on your part. I find this part fun, but it's just calculations pretty much. Yeah, and do research into salaries and stuff like that. So how much is it going to cost to start up a website? How much is it going to what's it called? How much is it going to cost to start up an app? And how much is the marketing team going to cost? Are you using any other businesses or sources that might make it easier, but they charge some sort of fee? Mention all of that. And if you can get a source from a like actual company, that would be really good, and that will help your thing stand out. Because what is happening at this point in these sort of plans is that everyone meets the standard. Like, everyone will have these calculations, they will be accurate, right? But that's where the competition part comes in. Since everyone is at that standard, you will have to go above and beyond. So you'll have to add in some sort of special detail, some sort of special research that you've done that makes these statistics more accurate and more unique than any others, right? And then we go into the problems. I'm not going to really get into this because this is a 10-pager and there's a lot of detail here. But just looking at this plainly, you can see statistics, sources, questions, right? And all the paragraphs seem pretty much equally distributed. There's a rhetorical question here. There's a source right here. So see that little 2 that references to a source. And it just looks nice. You don't have to be all flashy. The winners aren't necessarily the ones who are the most artistic. It's the people who can put down the best content in an easy to read manner. Yeah, but this is a general overview of what to look out for in your 10-pager. Make sure you don't lose any of those penalty points, and I wish you the best.